Pain in life is inevitable, but how much we suffer from that pain, that's a choice. Today, I'm going to share a powerful secret with you. A way to expand your perspective so that even your biggest problems feel as small as a single grain of salt in a vast, beautiful lake. Stick with me, because this one simple shift can change everything. There's an old story about a young student who was constantly complaining to his master. Every day, he'd find something new to be unhappy about: his struggles, his frustrations, his pain. One morning, the master listened quietly and then handed the student a small handful of salt. "Take this salt," he said, "and put it into this glass of water. Then drink it." The student did as he was told. "How does it taste?" the master asked. "Bitter. It's awful," the student spat out. The master smiled and then led the student to a large, serene lake nearby. He handed him another handful of salt. "Now, throw this salt into the lake." The student tossed the salt into the water. "And now," the master said, "drink from the lake." The student scooped up some water with his hands and drank. "How does it taste?" the master asked again. "It's fresh," the student replied. "It tastes wonderful." The master looked at him kindly and said, "The pain of life is like that handful of salt. It never changes. But the amount of bitterness we taste depends entirely on the container we put it into. You have a choice. Will you be a glass, or will you be a lake?" This story perfectly illustrates a fundamental truth about human suffering. The pain itself, the breakup, the job loss, the mistake we made, is the salt. The container is our perspective, our mindset, our world. When our world is small, when we are the glass, that salt is all we can taste. This is what I call small-mindedness. It's not about intelligence, it's about the size of your inner world. When your world consists only of your immediate worries, your social circle, your daily routine, any problem that enters, it feels enormous. It takes up all the space. A single negative comment can ruin your day. A small setback at work feels like a catastrophe. The bitterness of the salt overwhelms everything because there's nowhere else for your focus to go. You're trapped in the glass, and the water just gets saltier and saltier with every new problem that's added. This is when we feel stuck, anxious, and overwhelmed. The problem isn't the problem itself. It's that the problem is the only thing we can see. So, how do we break out of the glass? How do we become the lake? The key is a technique I call the zoom out. Imagine you're looking at a map on your phone. You start by looking at a single street corner. That's your immediate problem. It fills the entire screen. But then, you pinch your fingers and zoom out. Suddenly, you see the whole neighborhood. You zoom out again, and you see the entire city. Zoom out further, and you see the state, the country, the continent, and finally, the whole planet spinning in the vastness of space. Your original street corner is still there, but it's now just a tiny, insignificant dot. The zoom-out technique is doing this mentally. It's the conscious act of shifting your perspective from the intense, close-up view of your problem to a much broader, more expansive context. It's about reminding yourself that this single moment of pain is not the entirety of your life's story. Let's try a little experiment right now. Pause for a second and think of a problem that felt absolutely massive 5 years ago. Maybe it was a bad grade, a fight with a friend, or a project at work that went wrong. At that moment, it probably felt all-consuming, right? Now, from your perspective today, how much does that problem truly matter? For most of us, the emotional charge is gone. It has faded into the larger tapestry of our lives. Time has automatically done the zoom out for us. This little exercise demonstrates a powerful truth. Perspective changes everything. The pain was real then, but its power to cause suffering has diminished because our container, our life experience, has grown larger. The good news is, we don't have to wait 5 years to get this relief. We can learn to zoom out intentionally, right here and now. So, how do we actively broaden our world and become the lake? Here are 3 powerful, practical ways you can start today. First, read. Read everything. Read fiction to step into the lives of others. Read history to understand the immense scale of human experience. Read science to grasp the wonders of the universe. Every book you read is like pouring another gallon of fresh water into your container. It introduces new ideas, new perspectives, and shows you that your personal drama is just one story among billions. Knowledge expands your world and dilutes the salt of your personal problems. Second, spend time in nature. Go stand at the edge of the ocean, hike up a mountain, or simply lie in a field and look at the stars. When you stand before the grandeur of the natural world, it's impossible to feel like your problems are the center of the universe. Nature has a profound way of recalibrating our sense of scale. It reminds us that we are part of something ancient, vast, and incredibly beautiful. Your anxieties shrink in the face of a mountain that has stood for millions of years. Third, practice service. Go volunteer. Help a neighbor. Do something for someone else without expecting anything in return. When you focus on alleviating someone else's suffering, your own problems are instantly put into perspective. You realize that your glass of salty water is nothing compared to the challenges others might be facing. Service connects you to a shared humanity and expands your heart, turning it from a fragile glass into a deep, resilient lake. Let's contrast these two mindsets. The glass mindset is reactive. It's narrow. When a problem hits, the glass person obsesses, ruminates, and lets the bitterness take over. Their world is small, so the problem feels huge. They are fragile, and a small crack can shatter their peace. The lake mindset, on the other hand, is calm and expansive. When the same problem, the same handful of salt is thrown into the lake, it dissolves without a trace. The lake person is resilient. They feel the initial sting of the pain, yes, but it doesn't define their reality. Their world is so vast, filled with knowledge, connection to nature, and service to others, that the problem is absorbed easily. They have perspective. They understand that this, too, shall pass, because they can see the bigger picture. The lake remains calm, fresh, and life-giving, not in spite of the salt, but because its very nature is to be vast enough to handle it. Ultimately, finding peace isn't about eliminating pain from our lives. That's an impossible goal. The salt will always be there. True peace comes from expanding our container so much that the salt no longer makes the water bitter. It's about cultivating a lake mindset. It's about zooming out and seeing the big picture, understanding that our problems, as real and painful as they feel in the moment, are just a small part of a much larger, more beautiful existence. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the bitterness of life, ask yourself, am I being a glass or am I being a lake? The choice and the power to change is always yours. Don't let your problems define you. Instead, expand your world until your problems can't help but dissolve within it. Thank you so much for watching. If this idea resonated with you, and you want more wisdom to help you live a calmer, more expansive life, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.